The Bible says that initially the two were running together at the same pace. But my Bible tells me that there came a point when the disciple who Jesus loved the most, we're talking about John, outran Peter. The disciple outran Peter. Now, I don't know about your culture, but if you're in the African culture, there is something, my husband always talks about this concept. And he talks about the concept of power distance. Power distance is the distance between one person of a lower ranking, whether in society or social class, or maybe in title, and another person of a higher ranking. So the difference between you and your manager at work is called a power distance. No wonder when you step into a room, if you were laughing with your other colleague and you guys were talking about the weekend and the Netflix movie you watched, no wonder you change your conversation, because there is a power distance. All right. No wonder when you walk into church and you see your pastor, or maybe an elder, or maybe a deacon, or maybe a bishop, if you were doing some things that were out, that were not necessarily in the context of a packaged morality, you change what you were talking about or what you were doing. Why? Because there is a power distance. My husband likes to make the example of something he calls why planes crash. And he says they studied many of the incidences when planes had crashed. And he says that the people that studied why planes crashed was because of something known as power distance. And power distance is even the way you talk to your parents. When you are, I don't know about the other side of the West, but when you are in Africa, when you are talking to your parents, if you are telling them something, the way you tell your parents something, it's not like you are commanding them to do something. Sometimes you tell your parent by asking them a question. Hello, somebody. It's called power distance. So suppose I want to tell my parent that they need to move around their dress because there's something showing that's not supposed to be showing. I don't tell it directly. Power distance. That's right. You tell it respectfully. And one of the ways that you are able to tell your parent respectfully that they are out of bound. Some of you've been to the family cookout and your parents they weren't acting right, but you couldn't tell them they were acting right because of power distance. So what you do is that you sometimes pose a question. The question is not really a question. The question is a communication, but it's a respectful way of communicating what you have observed. Power distance. Why am I mentioning power distance in this instance? I'm mentioning power distance because we have an understanding that Peter and John were not the same age. Now, if I was going somewhere with someone who was not the same age as myself, and we were running together, I would find a way to make sure that both of us are running in the same pace. Doesn't matter my curiosity. Doesn't matter how curious I am to know what's happened. I would consider them and I would run at the same pace. But the Bible describes John as the disciple that Jesus loved the most, which meant that when it came to the area of love, there was a relationship that John had with Jesus in the realm of love that transcended the love that other disciples had with Jesus. I'm taking you somewhere this morning. Prayer governors, love causes you, love causes your rationale to subside. Love causes even your understanding of power distance or morality or respectfulness to subside. Because when you are curious about something, when you are curious about someone, all rationale subsides.